Mets. He has had 3 home runs, batting .258.
And the last time the Mets saw Barry Bonds, he was crossing home plate with a winning run in the bottom of the 14th last Sunday at Three Rivers.
And the first pitch, a breaking ball for ball 1. Barry Bonds, the son of Bobby Bonds, a great Major League ball player. And the fastball fouled down the left field side, out of play.
And the first time Sid Fernandez saw Barry Bonds last Sunday, he hit a home run on the first pitch. Tie the game in the bottom of the first inning.
Pirates winning the first game of that series 10-9. The Mets won the second game 5-4, and the Pirates won the last game 9-8 in 14 innings. 1 ball, 1 strike, and the fastball again fouled away. Pirates as a team hitting .262. The Mets lead the National League in team batting average at .269. They lead in runs scored. The Mets with 775 runs. The Pirates have scored 665. The Mets have scored 110 runs more than Pittsburgh. One and 2. And the curveball hangs high, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lean is the on-deck batter, Jose Lean. First time he's played at Shea Stadium. And the fastball, ball 3, 3-2. Fernandez with a lifetime mark of 42 wins, 30 losses. Last year he won 16 and lost 6. He was a pitcher of the month of April this year, won 4 and lost 1. Fastball again fouled off. Sid in his last 18 game starts has a record of 7-6 and 5 no decisions. He has had 11 games, 11 strikeout games. That ball fouled, the fastball 3-2. Struck out 11 against the Cardinals, against the Reds, and against the Padres. So Barry Bonds hangs tough as the leadoff batter here tonight. And another foul ball.
Ralph, Dennis D'Agostino, the assistant PR director for the Mets, has just told us that Dave Pallone is indeed behind home plate, but there's been an adjustment in the rest of the umpiring crew. Lee Wire is now at first base, and Dutch Rennert at second base, and Greg Bonin, the third base umpire.
And now a ball in play as it is hit out to left field, left center field. Reynolds makes the play, and Bonds, after a long at bat, is out. That'll bring up Jose Lean. Jose hitting .340 for the year. He has no home runs, 7 runs batted in. Against the Mets, he's hitting .385, 5 for 13.
Pretty good way to break in your first 25 games.
And the second baseman takes a fastball for ball 1.
When you make a trade of an established player, you have to have some place to go, a player to which to go. And when the Pirates traded Johnny Ray 26 days ago, Jose Lean was ready, and they're developing him, and they're pleased, obviously.
And that pitch a ball, so the count 2 balls, no strikes. He is not a home run type hitter. He is a contact hitter.
Only 1 home run in his professional career.
Baxter in center field has moved in very tightly. The outfield not that deep against him, although McReynolds a little bit deep. 3-0 the count to Jose Lind. L-I-N-D. And ball 4. So Sid, after battling Barry Bonds and getting him out, walks Lind on 4 pitches. That'll bring up Andy Van Slyke. Van Slyke hitting .288, 20 home runs, 76 runs batted in.
Lind is not that much of a threat to steal. He runs fairly well, but it's very strange in that Jose is not that fast, but he has incredible, and I mean incredible, leaping ability. We told a story last weekend about jumping over Jason Thompson, who's 6'4". He did it flat-footed. Now that's the story. I'll tell you another story. That might be a story.
That one's pretty good. I'm waiting for this one.
Ray Miller, the pitching coach of the Pirates, said last Sunday morning, Lean, they put a $5 bill on the top of the batting cage. From a flat-footed stance, he jumped up, got the $5 bill, and put it in his pocket before he hit the floor.
No change at all, huh?
No change. No, he didn't change it or anything like that. That would really be. Our home plate cameraman, Andy, says he wants to see it to believe it. He doesn't believe it.
I think I'd have to see that to believe it. It's a good story, though.
Makes a good story. Never let the facts get in the way of a good story.
That is true. 1-1, the count to Van Slyke. Lean, the runner at first base. Pretty good lead. He draws the throw. Pirates have had 133 stolen bases. Mets have had 150. Jim Leyland, the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates, in his second year. And this one is fouled off the end of the bat. Johnson comes in to pick it up and make sure he gets it in foul territory, although Van Slyke never did move or leave the batter's box. Van Slyke did something in that 14-inning ball game that not many outfielders have ever done. He made 6 outfield outs.
The last one counted, though, didn't it?
Last one, a sacrifice fly that won the ball game.
4 to center, 1 to left, and 1 to right. Went 0 for 6 in that ball game, but got the game-winning RBI.
And he hit some hard balls of those 6 outs.
Yeah.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And again, a foul ball. In case you just joined us, the Cardinals got beat by the Cubs 2-1. Andre Dawson getting his 46th home run. And he picked up his 129th and 130th RBIs. He leads the league in both those departments. Scott Sanderson, the winning pitcher. DePino got a save. Bob Force, the loser. And the pitch is a ball, 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Cardinals in the month of September are now 11-12. The Mets are 13-9 in the month of September. Pittsburgh 14-8. They're second to the Giants for the best record in September. The Giants have won 13 and lost 7. Throw over to first. Runner goes, and the pitch is foul tip.
Lean had a very, very good jump on Fernandez. Fernandez does not have a good move to first base. One of the few left-handers that doesn't have a good move. That's good technique. You see how Lean pivoted on the right foot. He didn't pick the right foot up. It's always better to pivot on the right foot. If you pick the right foot up, you lose a half a step. It takes time to pick it up, put it back down. A lot of times it's a half a step difference as to whether you steal the base or not.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And again, a foul ball.
So far, he's been Andy Van Slyke.
Really cutting the ball off in foul territory.
Some of my drives.
Those are almost shanks. 2-2. Takes about 3.1 seconds to get down to second base from a lead at first base. And again, the throw to first.
Some get down there faster than others.
There is a difference.
A lot of guys run as fast. Their feet just don't move as quickly.
Isn't that the truth? 2-2 as Sid comes back, and this ball hit down over the bag at first base. It'll be extra bases. Strawberry over to field it. Lean being held up at third as the throw comes in. And Van Slyke with a double puts runners at second and third with 1 man out here in the first inning.
Double number 34 on the year for Van Slyke, and he finally caught up with the fastball. He just turned it up a notch, and instead of slicing those balls off to the left, he caught up to the heater. But again, it's the walk that set up the trouble here for the Mets. 2 out, nobody on, a double by Van Slyke. It's not nearly as bad as second and third with 1 out, of course.
And that walk coming on 4 pitches to a non-power hitter. That'll bring up a power hitter, Bobby Bonilla. Bobby hitting .297, 15 home runs, a switch hitter. And he fouls off a fastball. Bonilla brings an 8-game hitting streak into this game, hitting .300 over that period. He has hit in 14 of his last 15 and is batting .345 for the 15 ball games. Davey Johnson flanked by his coaches. The 1-strike pitch. Fastball, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Bonilla with the most switch hit home runs of any Pirate in their history. And the fastball foul back out of play. So Sid Fernandez with a count of 1-2. A runner at third, a runner at second. 1 man out. We're in the top of the first.
I'll tell you, I think you're doing Bonilla a favor by throwing him, as you see, I'll see all those RBIs since the All-Star break, by throwing him an off-speed pitch for a strike. He hurt his left wrist in St. Louis 2 nights ago. Usually with the bad wrist, you're going to handle the breaking ball better.
And the 1-2 pitch, a fastball. It's chopped out toward first base. Where's the play going to be? Sid Fernandez, a spectator, and no chance to pick up the out at first. Sid late covering at first, a run scores.
Well, that's just embarrassing right there. Sid Fernandez, no idea about going back to his left, and not even close at first base, and Bobby Bonilla has a base hit that never should have occurred. Nothing you could do. Should have been an RBI, but watch Sid. Way late on the break, and it's first and third and 1 out. That's embarrassing.
So the Pirates take the lead, and now the batter will be Mike Diaz, who has killed the Mets this year. Diaz hitting .393 against the Mets this year with 4 home runs, 12 runs batted in. Overall, Diaz is hitting at .249 with 16 home runs and 47 RBIs. Mets set up a double play depth, and the first pitch is strike. Diaz in his last 8 games with 10 hits and 21 at-bats, batting .476. 3 of the 10 hits home runs, and he has driven in 8.
A little bad blood between Diaz and the Mets. Mets are not real happy with.
There's a high fly ball to center. It'll score a run. Tagged up at first is Bonilla. Now Dykstra throwing in the second base, and Bonilla stays at first as Van Slyke scores. So it's now the Pirates 2, and the Mets have not batted.
It's not exactly what Diaz has been doing, it's how he's been doing it. Mets consider Diaz a guy who's been strutting around a little bit too much. Not enough time in the league to be strutting around. Sentiments of some of their players. So we'll see what they do in this series, but there is not a lot of good feeling between Mike Diaz and the New York Mets. And then, of course, the article today in the paper about Dwight Gooden and the comments he made about the Pirates. So I'd see a little animation in this series.
Dwight really accusing the Pirates of what the Mets were accused of last year.
Yeah.
And the first pitch to Darnell Coles, foul back out of play, strike 1. Coles with a grand slam home run against the Mets in a ball game in Pittsburgh last weekend.
Against Fernandez in the 6th inning. In the 5th inning, make that on a curveball down and in.
He has 3 hits and 8 at-bats against the Mets. One of them that grand slam home run. He's driven in 5 runs against the Mets. And the fastball is missed. Coles hitting .207 for the year with just 2 home runs and 14 RBIs.
Well, a good high fastball right here. Sid pitching very cautiously here lately, and that's certainly normal when you have all the problems he's had this year. The bad left knee, bad shoulder.
His strikeouts are way down.
Yeah.
There's a fly ball out to right field. Strawberry with an easy chance. And that'll do it, but the Pirates get off to a fast start. They scored 2 runs.
Johnson batting 7th, Rafael Santana, the number 8 hole hitter, and Sid Fernandez on the mound batting ninth.
The defense is Diaz, Lean, Pedrique, and Bonilla in the infield, first to third. Bonds, Van Slyke, Coles in the outfield. And this ball bunted perfectly. And it will be a base hit for Len Dykstra. Dykstra hitting .282 before the bunt with 10 home runs, 40 runs batted in, and a blueprint.
It really is. Alger Hiss would have been proud of Lenny on this one. And that's important for the Mets to bounce right back. They really had a tacky top of the first inning. Primarily Fernandez walking lean, and then the not thinking about covering first, mental breakdown. It's important for the Mets to bounce right back against the Pirates.
Pirates leading by a score of 2-0, and now the batter will be Tim Teufel. Teufel hitting .311, 13 home runs, 54 runs batted in. 3 of his home runs this year against the Pirates, and he's hitting .341 against Pittsburgh. Dykstra a threat to steal at first base. And Teufel moves out the bunt, and he was bunting for a base hit.
Yeah.
Trying to catch Bonilla deep at third.
He caught him deep. He just didn't get it where he wanted to. Bobby was back. He'll move in now even with the bag. But had he gotten that down, there's no way you're going to get him.
Teufel has been hot with the bat. Last 7 games, 3 home runs, 10 runs batted in. And in his last 10 games, he's hitting .333. 3-hit game last night. 1 strike the count. And the fork ball for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Diaz at Vancouver this year had a record of 12-10 with an earned run average at 3.1. Make that 3.78. He was recalled on August 22nd. He was the starting pitcher in that 14-inning ball game against the Mets, but the Pirates won 9-8. And it's bunted, and it hits Teufel in the batter's box, so it's a foul ball. If it hits him in fair territory, he's out.
Looked like he bunted it down on his foot and kind of kicked it out toward the mound. That's a boot right there. Boot. That's a boot.
A boot, right.
A boot.
So Dykstra back to first. Pirates as a team hitting .269. Number 1 in the National League. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the breaking ball, ball 2, 2 balls, 2 strikes. On deck batter Dave Magadan. The Teufel shuffle as he moves around in that batter's box.
Timmy shimmy.
Runner goes. The pitch is swung on and missed, so Teufel is struck out. No throw by Junior Ortiz, and Dykstra gets a stolen base.
I don't know whether Teufel foul tipped that ball or not. He could have, and if that happened, sometimes the ball does not land cleanly in the mitt. No, he didn't look like he did.
Number
Foul
29.
tip. Lenny a good jump and has stolen base number 26 on the year. Or you just cringe every time Dykstra goes down. He gets his hands all caught up in underneath him. He lands in the middle of the bag. You just wonder how long that's going to last.
He's got to have a tough body. Dave Magadan, the batter. Dave playing first base, hitting .320 for the year with 3 home runs, 20 runs batted in. Magadan in his last 35 games hitting .395. He's had 4 game starts at first base. In his last one, he went 4 for 4 against the Cubs. And that's ball 1. He has been pounding that ball for his last 35 games. When the Mets clinched the pennant against the Cubs last year, it was Magadan playing first base. And the fastball high. Keith Hernandez was ill that day with a heavy cold and did not start. He did come in to play in the game at the end. Magadan had a big day. 3 base hits. You're watching Mets Baseball 87 on WWOR TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. Ball 3 balls, no strikes.
No way Bilecki wants to do this. Walk Magadan with Strawberry on deck. Darrell's been red hot.
Jim Leyland, the manager of the Cubs, of the Pirates, his second year. 3-0 pitch. Got a strike, 3-1. Dave is hitting just 188 against the Pirates with 1 home run. 1 run batted in as you look at Darryl Strawberry, the on-deck batter. Ball 4. So the Mets have the potential tying run at first. And it brings up Darryl Strawberry.
Number 18, right fielder, Darryl Strawberry.
Strawberry hitting 288, 38 home runs, a career high, 99 runs batted in, a career high. And Darryl has been hot, as Tim said. He's hit in his last 5 games, hitting .450 over the 5 games. In his last 35 games, he's had 10 home runs, 32 runs batted in, and scored 30 runs. And the fastball for ball 1. Strawberry hitting .348 against the Pirates with 6 home runs. Hitting .274 with runners in scoring position.
That's not very good. Of course, they've been pitching around him a lot, too.
Darryl with 92 walks. And there's ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes.
One improvement Strawberry has made this year, however, has been if a pitcher wants to pitch around him, he has allowed him to do that. You just can't get into the habit of swinging at bad balls to prevent a pitcher pitching around you, because they got you where they want you then.
2-0 to Darryl Strawberry. The Mets trailing by 2. They have runners at first and second. 1 man out, bottom of the first. And a strike call. On-deck batter Kevin McReynolds. The 2-1 pitch, fastball off the glove of Ortiz, and runners move out. Dykstra moves over to third base, and Magadan to second.
This should go as a pass ball. That ball's got to be handled, even though the ball took off on Ortiz. If a catcher's used to catching the ball in the web and the ball sails, then it's going to hit the web and bounce out. That's why you're taught really to catch the ball in the meat of the glove, and if it sails, then you catch it in the web.
So the count 3-1. And Strawberry fouls off a fastball. That puts it at 3-2.
Surprised at that pitch a little bit?
I really was.
Bet your house this ball's going to be out of the strike zone.
I would think they'd try and keep it high and inside.
Either that or the fork ball.
And the off-speed pitch, the fork ball could be the possibility. First base open, Strawberry, of course, hot. McReynolds cold, the on-deck batter. And he gets another fastball, and Strawberry had a big cut. Bilecki deciding to challenge Strawberry and running the count full.
Boy, he did that exactly. This is right in the wheelhouse of Strawberry's. Bilecki certainly challenging Darryl with that 3-2 fastball. First base open.
3-2, and the pitch is popped up foul. It'll be back into the stands, out of play.
Another fastball.
He's just saying, here it is.
Yep.
Bilecki, in working 40 innings coming into this game, has struck out 21. Ratio is not indicative of throwing fastballs by power hitters. 3-2 once again. field. Going after it, Van Slyke. He'll take it on the warning track. He makes the catch. Both runners tag up. Dykstra scores. And Magadan goes over to third. So Strawberry gets a run batted in on a sacrifice fly.
His 100th of the year, and Ralph, I can't believe that ball stayed in the ballpark. Might be because of the weather. Might be because it's 2 days after the autumnal equinox. Maybe the ball doesn't carry after the equinox. Or whatever, that ball really took off the bat of Strawberry. 100 RBIs for the first time in his career, and only the third Met ever to do it. Rusty Staub did it, and Gary Carter has done it twice.
The Mets record for RBIs in a season, 105 by Rusty Staub.
Number 22.
I really thought this ball had a chance. Another fastball by Bilecki, and Strawberry drives Van Slyke to the middle of the warning track.
And now the batter is Kevin McReynolds, and he takes strike one. McReynolds hitting .275, 26 home runs, a career high, ties this career high, and he has 85 RBIs. Time run at third, and pitch a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, both Kevin McReynolds and Gary Carter have really struggled with the 2-out base hit with runners in scoring position. Howard Blatt of the Daily News tells us today Kevin's hitting .206 with men in scoring position. .206. 17 solo home runs, and that really detracts from the numbers and a better indication of what kind of year Kevin's having. Now, I'm not meaning to say that he's having a bad year by any means.
His numbers are very good. There's the fork ball. And the count, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, they're good, but upon further look at the numbers, they're not as good as what you initially see. And that's why the 2-out base hits with runners in scoring position, a key category.
2-2. And this ball hit deep to left. It's gone. Goodbye. You talk about it, and then it turns around as Kevin McReynolds has a career high 27 home runs as he puts the Mets up by a score of 3-2.
Well, that'll up that number a little bit, won't it? The split finger fastball, and Kevin McReynolds has his first home run in a while to give the Mets the lead.
So the Mets bounce back on 3 runs here in the bottom of the first inning. They now lead 3-2, and the batter will be Gary Carter as McReynolds takes a curtain call. And the first pitch to Carter, a strike.
Now look at this smooth swing by McReynolds. A split finger fastball or fork ball rifled out of here.
And Carter gets a curveball and takes it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Carter hitting .241 with 19 home runs, 81 runs batted in. And again, the breaking ball, 2-1.
Well, listen to this. The last time Bilecki worked, he gave up 3 home runs to the Mets. Strawberry, Johnson, Tuffle. Now 1 to McReynolds.
And we're in the first inning. There's a hard ground ball towards second base. Leaned at second, has it. The throw to first base retires aside. But the Mets get 3 runs on 2 hits. No one left on base. The score at the end of 1, the Mets 3 and the Pirates 2. Now here's a word. Was with the Mets at one time, and he was trying to learn how to work a crossword puzzle, and he came to a word that he didn't know anything about. And it said, what is a closed hand? He was working a pretty simple crossword puzzles. He swings and misses at Fernandez on the mound, and Seaver said, what's this? And he holds up a fist. And he says, pitch out. Because a closed fist is usually the sign for a pitch out when a catcher's catching.
Only 4 letters, though, for fist. Pitch out didn't fit in that crossword puzzle.
Saw Tom Seaver today. Looks good. 2-1 the count. up at the Greenwich Country Club just after a workout.
Tom probably living the life of a country gentleman now, huh?
Country squire, yeah. 2-1 pitch to Ortiz, and it's an off-speed pitch. 3 balls, 1 strike.
That's a bad call right there. You got a guy right here who's an opposite field hitter, even though it was not 2-1. That's why, okay, that's fine. But it wasn't 2 balls and 2 strikes. It's 2-2 now.
And a swing and a miss, and Fernandez gets his first strikeout. Years in the minor leagues, and now here in the major leagues having a good year with the Pittsburgh Pirates hitting .298 with 1 home run, 27 runs batted in. Pedrique 2 for 5 against the Mets. He was 0 for 6 as a Mets player. And a strike call off the fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the off-speed pitch. I'd like to wish a combined happy birthday to our telephone crew. They're not all having their birthday today, but they're going to have a birthday party to celebrate all their birthdays.
Oh. Just whenever their birthdays arrive.
That's right. Just pick a day, anytime. Pat McLaughlin.
Great.
Ruth Tuffanesco, Kathy Norwich, and Fran Farley. So a happy birthday whenever it is. And a fastball back, fouled away, 2-2. So here we are with a 2-2 count. 1 man out, Al Pedrique, celebrating birthdays for everybody.
Right, well, Bobby Venable, a happy birthday tonight.
And this ball hit to center field, and Lenny Dykstra is right there. So 2 men away. And a strike.
Bilecki looks a little like John Travolta, doesn't he? You're a big Travolta fan.
He does look a little bit like him, yeah.
Yeah.
John worked, didn't he come to the ballpark one day? We talked with him
up in
somewhere.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing a movie.
Yeah.
Year before last, huh?
And a swing and a miss. 1-2 for Sid Fernandez.
It's always amazed me how much respect the entertainment industry has for professional athletes. Most of them are big baseball fans. A bunch of them are. See Glenn Close at the ballpark singing the national anthem. She was on David Letterman last night. David Letterman, big baseball fan. You don't have to be a star to be a baseball fan either.
And that fills it out. 3 balls, 2 strikes. It's this year. And that ball fouled off.
And John, different type of curveball.
And that fastball fouled away. But like 3-2 as Sid Fernandez works to the pitcher with 2 men out here in the top of the second. 2 strikeouts in the inning. 1-2-3 inning for.
Which 2 National League teams have never had a Cy Young Award winners. Howard Johnson steps in with 36 home runs, the most ever by a National League switch hitter. Strike 1 from Bilecki. 3-2 New York, bottom of the second inning. San Diego has Randy Jones in 76.
That is true.
Foul back, 0-2. The Dodgers with the first one, Don Newcomb, back in 56.
And a few more.
0-2, yeah, plenty more. Cardinals, Bob Gibson, of course. Atlanta might be one, but I'm not saying it is. It's 0-2 to Johnson.
Quick to add.
Yeah, quick to add. But I'll say Atlanta. Atlanta, is that one of them?
I can't give you the answer.
You got to tell me if that's one of them or not.
I have to look at the answer.
Just tell. Well, yeah, you have to look at the answer. You asked the question. Is Atlanta one of them?
Atlanta is not one of them.
No. I don't believe it. Was Negro, he won a Cy Young?
He must have.
Ground ball right side. And Lean throws out Johnson. 1 away. Now I'm dead for the. All right, well, let me just try and. San Francisco, I don't know if Marichal ever won one or not because he kept having good years when.
Wrong again.
Well, wait a minute.
Oh,
Wait a minute. I might have to protest this. I'm just talking. I'm trying to think out loud, which might be dangerous. Santana, the batter, 259. Rafi hitting, 3-2 New York. Big blow, a home run by Kevin McReynolds with a mate aboard, his 27th of the year. Santana, 259 with 5 home runs. That's a career high. On the corner, 1-1. The Cubs have certainly had one.
Absolutely right.
The Mets, of course, have had one. Pittsburgh Pirates in 60, Vernon Law. Tigers over the Blue Jays. Toronto a game and a half ahead of Detroit. That controversial play last night. Bill Madlock sliding hard into Tony Fernandez. He's out for the season. Broken elbow. 1-2 to Santana. Ortiz with a skate save. Two and two to Santana. Well, like Montreal. That's
You played with that team.
yeah, Montreal.
That is right.
That's one team without a Cy Young Award. Even
Right.
though Mike Marshall, who is a stalwart pitcher, look at that. The Phillies won 0 after 2. Mike Marshall eventually won a Cy Young Award for the Dodgers in '74. I'm really trying to clean things up now.
Yeah, you're
This
not going to
is-
get away with it.
Okay, so the Expos are 1. Houston with Mike Scott last year. I'm going to pick the San Francisco. You say no with the
San
Giants.
Francisco's wrong.
Marichal. It doesn't matter anyway, does it?
Yeah, you're.
All right, what's the second? Santana, base hit to center.
Cincinnati Reds are
All right.
the other one.
Now batting, number 50, pitcher.
This ball ripped into
Fernandez.
center field as Santana continues to keep his average right at that mark. That is giving him his best year in the majors. Came in with a 259 average with 5 home runs, 44 RBIs.
His average has slipped down, however, the last month or so. He did hit 257 a couple of years ago, but clearly swinging the bat with more authority this year. Fernandez probably up there to bunt. It's 3-2, Mets on top. Santana back.
That question, incidentally, was submitted by Robert Ryan of Brooklyn, New York. Good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. Bob will receive a copy of both our books. Oh, good bunt by Fernandez. And Diaz tags Sid on the way by. Santana moving to...
Are you disputing the facts here?
Oh, no. I'm just piquing my interest. No, I'm not. No disputing. No. This is a great question. I accept the answers. Accept loss like a champion. I ought to.
Yeah, but you're crying on the inside.
Line drive, base hit over the shortstop's head. Dykstra's going to have his 7th double in 6 games. And it's 4-2 New York. Boy, that's good hitting.
Well, the Mets have picked up 3 runs with 2 men out in this ball game. Kind of hitting you need to contend. And Dykstra hitting the ball in the alley, and Santana, who had been sacrificed to second after a single, scores, and the Mets now lead by
79. It's the all-time Met high, 37, and the fastball misses.
Gaylord Perry in 1971 was the Cy Young Award winner with the Giants.
Marichal never won it then, huh?
Nope. Well, it didn't come in until 19. Well, he was pitching.
56.
Yeah.
56, yeah. In throughout his career.
Of course, Marichal was contending against Sandy Koufax in those
And
days.
Gibson.
Bob Gibson.
How about that with runners in scoring position? Timmy having a terrific year. Tim terrific. Base hit. Here comes Dykstra. 5-2 New York.
right here, Teufel continues his strong hitting, gets a fastball and just rips it over the third baseman's head. Dykstra with that good speed doesn't even get a throw at home as he crosses, and Teufel holds at first base.
It's like one of the maintenance men in there doing some handiwork. This is a perfect time for it. So with 2 outs, Dave Magadan the batter. Dave walked and scored a run in front of Kevin McReynolds' 27th home run. Pittsburgh. Teufel back, but he's not.
49-20 against the Pirates over the last 4 seasons. They were 17-1 against them last year.
And a bunt attempt. I guess that's an all right. Cardinals lost their game 2-1 today to the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Patterson close to a balk, and you'd hate to balk with a slow runner at first base. No sense in it.
That would not be a very good move.
Ground ball. Look at the play by Lean. Out at second. Oh, brilliant play by young Jose Lean. 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 left. At the end of 2. Barry flied to left on a 3-2 pitch his first time up. Line drive to left center. McReynolds makes the play. Boy, I'll tell you, 2 sparkling defensive plays right in a row. One to end the bottom of the second, and now this one to open the third.
And here's the one that ended the bottom of the inning. Pardon me, this is the one that started the top of the inning. As you see, McReynolds make a great catch here. And that's an easy way to dislocate that shoulder with that kind of a play. And McReynolds again making another brilliant play in the outfield.
Guys diving all over the place. Jose Lean, appropriately the hitter.
Here's the one with Lean as Magadan hits it to his right, and he makes a diving stop. Backhands it. His chin hits the grass there, but he apparently is all right. And he gets the force play at second. Another foul ball to Jose Lean.
Look at the end of the half inning. He goes in, he rubs his chin as though he really came down hard on that chin, but you got to keep your chin up, I guess.
And he didn't do it there.
Inside, 2 balls and a strike to the young Pirates second baseman. And he's going to be a good one, folks.
Replacing Johnny Ray at second base. Ray going to the California Angels. He's got a lot more range than Johnny Ray.
2-2 to Lean.
Since the All-Star break, they're 35-31.
Outside.
Best record since the All-Star break in the National League. San Francisco 39-25. The Mets won 40, but they lost 26, and they're just slightly behind San Francisco for the best record in the National League from the All-Star game.
Oops, Lean goes too far. Third strikeout for 2 outs. Here's Van Slyke inside. Ball 1. Doubled and scored a run in the first inning. Ball 2, 2-0.
I got a letter the other day, Tim, about a fellow explaining or not explaining, one or the other. I don't know if he explained it or not. That he says today ball players don't take the trademark and hold it up. And that they break so many bats because they're hitting the ball on the wrong place in the bat. Of course, everybody that ever played, I guess, heard about the fact that you're supposed to hold the trademark up. Hank Aaron said, I didn't come up here to read when they asked him if he held it up. But the point I'm trying to make is the fact that most of the players today are raised on aluminum bats. They don't use wood bats, and so maybe they don't know about that.
Interesting theory as Van Slyke walks. That's going to bring up Bobby Bonilla. It's Bonilla, an infield hit due to Fernandez not covering first. And ball one. Gave up 3 home runs last Sunday. Inside, he gave up last week with 2 outs and a runner at third base. Base hit off Bobby Ojeda, and Ojeda lost it in the 14th inning. Cardinals lost their game 2-1 today at Wrigley Field. On the corner, 2-1. There goes Van Slyke, and this one fouled away, 2-2.
He had a tremendous jump.
Oh, yeah. Leads the Pirates. Line outside, 3-2 to Bonilla. Either tomorrow or Sunday. Unless both games are snowed out. Outside. So Bonilla walks. And that's the... Here's Mike Diaz. Here's a guy you hate to see representing the tying run.
And he's hitting behind 2 walks, and that's the thing that scares you.
With the 3-run lead.
And he eats up left-handers. He eats up the Mets. He's had 4 home runs against the Mets this year and 12 runs batted in.
2 home runs off Sid Fernandez. Outside, 2-0. Here comes Mel Stottlemyre. That was only a win. And then they had a 4-run lead. Swing and a miss. He had tied it up on his mind.
He really put a big swing on this one. This fastball right down the middle, and Diaz going for it, but no contact. You get behind after 2 walks, and that hitter's going to guess fastball.
2-1 to Diaz. Fouls it back. 2-2 to Diaz. High, ball 3. So the runners will be going with the count 3-2 and 2 out. 5-2 New York. There go the runners. Change up, grounded foul. There go the runners. Fastball, jammed, foul. Well hit deep to left field. Back is McReynolds. Back, and he makes the play. Mike Diaz just missing another home run off Fernandez. But the Pirates fail to score. It's still 5-2 after 2.5. And we're back after this from the New York Daily News. Wow.
Darryl Strawberry coming up.
And Darryl the batter, a sacrifice fly his first at bat, takes ball 1 from Bob Patterson. Darryl homered off Patterson opening day here at Shea, and the curveball, strike 2. Or strike 1, pardon me, 1-1. Mets on top. 5 hits for New York, 2 for the Pirates. Kevin McReynolds, a 2-run homer in the first inning. Lynn Dykstra with a couple of hits. Oh, good curveball there, 1-2.
And this pitch by Patterson, a good breaking ball, hard breaking ball. Patterson, the 3rd Pirate pitcher to ever start the opening day game for Pirate.
Darryl punched out on a pitch usually inside or outside that the players complain about. That's clearly a strike. Oh, and 2 to McReynolds. Up and out. And McReynolds is out of there. 2 called, 75. Rusty Staub will join Ralph. And fouled away, 0-2 to Carter. The Cardinals with 9 Actually, with their game finished, the Mets with only 8. So
The two were in the top of the fourth, and Sid Fernandez with a fastball for ball one. And the fastball fouled back into the stand right here. Well, you're pinch hitting that time?
Pinch hitting. See you later. I didn't get too many starts those last few years.
My last.
Understood.
High pop-up. This one might be playable. Carter over by the Mets dugout. And he makes the play. Darnell Coles fouls out to Gary Carter. Gary straight away. When he was a member of the Mets, he was a right field hitter.
In 1986, but started off slowly in 87. You see that ball up and away. Since the All-Star break, though, coming into this game, Junior Ortiz has been hitting over 300. So he's having a fine second half.
And this pitch is fouled on the first base side. It'll be out of play. Well, there's that right field base hit as Junior Ortiz follows the pattern. And he is on his way on, pops it up, but it's too far away from Carter for him to make a play. Pittsburgh Pirates open the way. You're watching Mets Baseball 87 on WWOR TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. And this one popped up. Rafael Santana to try it. 2 men away. That'll bring up the pitcher, Mike Bilecki. I'm sorry, that'll bring up the pitcher, Bob Patterson. Patterson will be hitting in spite of the fact that the Mets are leading 5-2. It's the top of the fourth inning. And the first pitch is called strike. Kind of interesting that they'd let the pitcher hit here, but the reason probably is the fact that he is pitching well. Pirates trailing by 3 runs with 2 men out and a runner on base. Patterson, as a batter, has had 1 hit in 11 at bats. And that is the reason why he does not look good as a hitter. That ends the inning as Sid Fernandez picks up a strikeout, his 4th in the game. 1 hit, 1 left to score at the end of 3.5 innings. The Mets 5, the Pittsburgh Pirates 2. Now here's a word from R.C. Cola.
Some people like the taste of Coke, and some people like the taste of Pepsi. But some people go out of their way for the great taste of R.C. Cola.
How would you like to see the Mets do it again from some of the best seats in the house? Look for specially marked bottles of RC Cola for a chance to win Superbox seats for 15.
7 as it stands right now. The Cardinals would win it. And the leadoff batter, Howard Johnson, takes the first pitch for ball 1. The last pitcher to start an opening day game for the Pirates was Preacher Rowe back in 1944 until Bob Patterson did it this year. Preacher Rowe, Billy Cox, 2 of the great Dodger players traded to the Dodgers from the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the fastball fouled back. 2-1.
Howard Johnson having such a marvelous year. It's such an unusual thing to see him struggle for a while. He has really had only 5 hits in his last 42 at bats. He's made those 5 hits count, and he certainly hit some balls very hard. As we've talked many times, when you're struggling a little bit, it seems like there's about 13 guys out in the field trying to catch the ball.
And another foul ball, 2-2. He slumps, and Alexander said he went to batting practice and tried to hit everything out of the ballpark. There's a ground ball down to the shortstop, Pedrique, and he bobbles it. So Johnson gets on in the air.
Well, that is a very, that's a An early birthday for Howard Johnson.
That is a present right there. That brings up Rafael Santana. Santana singled to center field, later on scored on a double by Lenny Dykstra. And the strike call.
In reference to your remark, Ralph, what was that gentleman's name that tried to hit home runs in batting practice when he was in a slump?
Alexander. And his theory was this. Dale Alexander was his name, great hitter. His theory was to hit a ball out of the ballpark, you have to put a perfect swing on it. So he'd practice that rather than the old theory of hitting the ball back through the middle or the opposite field.
Well, I can only tell you that everybody has their own way of doing things. I want to advise all you young hitters out there, whoever you are, not to go with that theory. As you see another pickoff attempt.
Yeah, but Dale isn't here to defend himself.
That's all right. That's tough. That's the breaks. If you got that kind of theory, you should stay around long enough.
I know that when I was in a batting slump, I'd go out and take batting practice. I wouldn't stride, and I'd try to hit everything to center field.
It's the way to do it too, Ralph.
And there's a pitch fastball that misses. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I had a theory I'll start finding it, then you start swinging more normal.
And a strike call, so it's 1-2.
It certainly helped me over the years, and I think, and work on the basic fundamentals of hitting.
Another one over to first base. Johnson always a threat to steal. Johnson with 31 stolen bases. Second now to Strawberry, who has 33.
Strawberry has unbelievably come on strong this month. Just an incredible month for Darryl Strawberry.
There goes Johnson, a hit and run play, and it's hit through the hole. Johnson's going to try for third. Bonds' throw offline. Johnson is safe. Santana, after making a big turn at first base, goes back to the bag. Probably bunting. The runner at third, and this is Tim McCarver's pet play, should follow the third baseman up. If he fields it and throws to first, then the runner third should come in. This time Sid bunts to first, and he is out, but he does move Santana down to second in scoring position, and he gets credit for a sacrifice. And the infield is in for a play at the plate. And the fastball high for ball. Pitch was up high, which is a fly ball pitch. Trying to keep that ball in the infield for that play at the plate with the infield in. And a check swing off a fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Surprised by it, too. The advantage certainly is with the hitter in this spot. With the infield in, you got a much better chance to get an infield, get a ball through the infield. And of course, the outfield fly ball will also score the runner. All in the hitters, on the hitter's side right here. 1-1 the count. And the fastball up there around the letters, and a called strike, and it's 1-2.
Again, an unusual strike there, kind of up in the strike zone. You don't see that a lot in the National League. A lot of people feel, as you see that score right there, Schmidt is second home or 2-run home run, number 33. Phillies ahead 4-0.
Now a conference has Patterson wants to talk to Junior Ortiz.
Pirate infield has moved back at third base. He's behind third base now. Bonilla. First base, they're behind the bag. Second and short, about like they would be if they were in a double play situation, which they're not.
Just about in the middle position between halfway and in. Howard Johnson, the runner at third, has good speed. They might not be able to get him on a ground ball. And he should come on a ground ball that is not hit hard, and that ball foul, so the count stays away if they get in a rundown. Played for Specs to Porsche at Albany, and that was his favorite play, coming in from third in this play and holding up. Strike 3 as Mookie leaves the runner at third with 1 man out.
Couple of tough pitches.
And they'll pitch to Magadan, the left-hand batter. All those circumstances have to be considered and thought of. And the worst thing you can do in that spot is to take a call strike 3. So you got to guard against it. really playing into the opposition's hands, and that's exactly what happened. So now Tuffle, who has been a hot batter, has walked, and they'll work to the left-hand batter, Dave Magadan. Again, the percentages swing over to the Pittsburgh Pirates side. So the walk to Tuffle loads up the bases and brings up Magadan. Bases loaded. Patterson's going to continue to work from a set position, and the first pitch, ball one. Magadan has walked.
Those defensive players make those great plays against you.
A strike call. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, mentioning Tuffle before, Wally Backman did take some batting practice, or attempted to yesterday, very unsuccessfully. That bad hand of his just did not respond when he tried to take batting practice. So not good news in that area for the New York Mets.
Although Tuffle has been hitting very well this year against left and right hand pitchers. Fastball for ball 2, and the bases loaded. 2 men out. Mets leading 5-2. A 2 ball, 1 strike count. Magadan takes strike 2.
Same slot he's normally in, though.
2-2. And he does go after the pitch and fouls it off. Sort of a defensive swing. Good swing, as a matter of fact. Tough pitch. Rusty's got to like that.
He's got the setup right here.
Again, at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And he holds off. It goes to 3-2.
That's the tough pitch. When you're trying to cover everything, you know you're vulnerable inside. You're trying to cover everything. He makes a pitch like this to be able to check your swing as a... Whoa, hold up there. I've been there many times, Ralph. I know what that feels like.
So the runners will be moving with the pitch. Bases loaded, 3-2, 2 men out. Mets leading by 3. And a ground ball pulled foul. Well, he is new to the league, although you should be told these things.
Somebody should be moving him around right
Yeah.
now. Pitcher's got to make a big mistake for him to be in the right position.
Once again, the 3-2 pitch. And again, it's fouled. Johnson ended up at third. Hernandez sacrificed. Then a walk, and now this ball hit out to deep center field. And it's like a good outfielder can't catch through it. And the Mets will get 3 as Magadan comes up with a bases loaded double, and the Mets lead 8-2.
What a great hit for Dave Magadan. Battled hard, finally got a good pitch to hit. They talk about him not having any pop. The ball is not carrying tonight. That's a 1-hopper off the center field fence. And a tremendously clutch hit. And 3 RBIs for the New York Mets by Dave Magadan.
Now the batter will be Darryl Strawberry, and the first pitch is a ball. Strawberry has driven in a run with a sacrifice fly. He has also been called out on strikes. Mets leading 8-2, and time is called. Well, the Mets have done something in this game that they have been wanting to do throughout the year. Some big 2-out base hits. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. In the first inning, a 2-out, 2-run home run by Kevin McReynolds. In the second inning, the Mets got 2 runs on 2 2-out base hits. 1 by Dykstra and 1 by Tuffle. And now here in the 4th, 3 runs on a 2-out double. This ball topped out for the pitcher. Patterson, he guns it to first and gets Strawberry, and that'll end the inning. But the Mets get 3 runs on 3 hits, and they leave 1. The score at the end of 4, it's the Mets 8 and the Pirates 2. Now here's a word from New Jersey Bill. Runs and 2 hits in the first. Big swing, 1 ball, 1 strike. Fernandez with a record of 11-8 this year. 2 balls, 1 strike, fastball. Bonds hitting .254 in his second year in the major leagues with 23 home runs, 52 runs batted in. And the fastball again, 3-1. Good fastball. That puts a count at 3-2. Bonds with 3 home runs against the New York Mets this year.
So Fernandez just going to blow this ball by Barry Bonds here. He had thrown him a fastball in and beat him on it. He was looking more in. That ball kind of moved away from him a little bit, kind of sailed. He had no chance.
And this one hit out to center field. Mookie's first chance. 1 away.
Your Nissan National League scoreboard. The Cubs over the Cardinals 2-1.
1 ball, 1 strike. Off-speed pitch fouled off. 1-2.
That changeup that Sid Fernandez just threw is one of the pitches that, if he continues to work on it, I think is going to be a big plus for him. Certainly against right-handed hitters, that other pitch has got to be a plus.
3 is better than 2 if they're good. And the fastball fouled back.
Well, it gives him that one pitch in particular that kind of goes down and away from those right-handed hitters. And it's another off-speed pitch to go with the hard and real slow curve that Sid Fernandez throws.
Two and 2. Sid, for the second year in a row, was on the All-Star squad. And for the second year in a row, he pitched well. Goes to the curveball. It's fouled off.
At outfield, shifting correctly. Folin. Strawberry way over in right. Mookie Wilson playing in right center.
And again, he fights it off and fouls it away. McReynolds very deep in left, though.
Again, I don't understand. Strawberry's actually probably a little deep in right. And even though Magadan hit that ball over the center fielder's head, as we've said many times tonight, the ball is not carrying.
And it's ball 3, 3-2. I ran into Paul Blair, who is one of the best outfielders I ever saw. He'd like to get back into baseball as a manager, living in this area.
Well, he's one of many people.
3-2. Went after ball 4 and fouled it off, so Sid gets a break. That's another chance to get him out.
Be interesting to see how long Davey Johnson stays with Sid Fernandez. He's had trouble getting past that 5th or 6th inning.
And this one golfed out to center field. Mookie Wilson off and running, and he runs it. It does prove one point, Rusty. You can go back and get those balls unless the guy's a power hitter. The ball just hangs in the air.
I agree fully, Ralph. It's one of the things I've talked about all year. This guy hit the ball as hard as he can hit it right now. I mean, he really ashes this ball. Mookie Wilson had to make a little adjustment there. Makes a nice play.
So Mookie, from a fairly shallow center field position, hauls it in. 2 men away, and that brings up Andy Van Slyke. Van Slyke with the double his first time up also has walked. And he hits this one down the left field line. It's curving foul.
When you're going down to first base and you got a tough left-hander who's giving you trouble, and Sid Fernandez has given Van Slyke a lot of trouble. You hit a ball like that, and you see it starting to curve foul. It kind of eats at your heart. You're going down there and just go, oh, please don't go foul. And it starts going, and you know you're in trouble.
Those base hits are about 2 points on your batting average. One strike to count. Off-speed pitch, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Van Slyke, who was really uncomfortable when he went to Pittsburgh after the trade from the Cardinals, certainly seems to be fitting in now, having a fine season. You see his record against the Mets. He's always been a problem for the Mets.
1-2. The
Opportunity to do it more often. A lot of times those statistics are on a very small amount of at-bats.
There's the curveball, and Sid Fernandez gets his 5th strikeout and a 1-2.
2-4, Ralph. This is his 31st game, a 5.18 earned run. Big 2-run home run for the Mets.
Putting the Mets on top by a score of 3-2 at that point. They now lead by a score of 8-2, and this one hit deep to left center field. Going, it is gone. Goodbye. Kevin McReynolds with his 2nd home run of the game as he faces Barry Jones for the first time.
Well, certainly not a good start for Barry Jones. Mets have roughed him up a little bit this year. Gets a fastball right in the home run zone. Just a tremendous stroke. McReynolds gets his 2nd home run. A little side view of that. Watch the extension on this. Watch that bat head. Boom.
And Gary Carter pulls the first pitch into the stands, foul down the left field side. Carter 0 for 2. Mets now leading by a score of 9-2. Strike 2. Carter hitting .326 coming into this game against the Pirate pitching. 3 of his 15 base hits home runs, and he has driven in 13 runs.
Jay Horowitz has just informed us that that is the 5th multi-home run game for Kevin McReynolds in his career, and the 3rd as a New York Met this year, 1987. Jay always has those little tidbits for us.
That's what he's paid to do. And a good changeup, and Carter has struck out for the 2nd time. He's now 0 for 3.
Gary Carter, Jones, a good off-speed pitch here. It's up, though. Gary Carter pulling off the ball. We've talked about that many times, too. Just could not get himself to consistently stay back.
And that'll bring up Howard Johnson. Howard with an infield base hit in 2 appearances. Mets leading 9-2. 9 runs on 9 hits. And there's that changeup again. Good changeup.
That was in an excellent location. Down and away. We talked about with Sid Fernandez. When you get that ball against the opposite type hitter, a righty against lefty, a lefty against righty, get that ball moved down and away from him.
And that fastball.
And then keep him honest. This is what you call good pitching. You have to pitch inside. We've talked 1,000 times about that. And there it is. Change up down and away and a fastball right in there. Whoa, get out of the way. No digging in. You could have bet the ranch that a changeup was coming after that one.
Bottom of the 7th inning, Philadelphia 4, Montreal 1. Scott the year. And the curveball.
Being on the winning club is a prerequisite.
Ground ball back, base hit. Diaz unable to handle it, and now quickly Darnell Coles gets back into the infield with the ball. And Howard Johnson, who had been in a horrendous batting slump, 5 for 41, gets a base hit on a bad hop and also gets one from the official score in this game.
So it's great when you get it to turn around like that. He's dead out. He knows he's out, and all of a sudden, boom! That almost gets Diaz right in the head.
Santana.
And it brings up Rafael Santana. Santana 2 for 2 in the game. There goes Johnson. The pitch swung on and missed. The throw by Junior Ortiz, not in time. And Johnson with a stolen base.
Number 32 for Howard Johnson. Gets a good jump. Ortiz has a tough pitch to handle. You see, he's got to reach across his body. He almost makes a good throw because the ball gets down there pretty good. If he'd have gotten that ball down a little bit, he might have had a chance. But Howard got a pretty good jump and a tough pitch for Ortiz to handle, and he gets a stolen base.
And the breaking ball to Santana. Strike 2.
That's a good slider. That buckled Ralphie a little bit.
He's won a little bit. The old jelly leg got in there.
That knee starts popping, boy, you're done. You're in deep trouble.
Ground ball chopped out toward third. Bonilla, good play to get it. He guns it across. And on the play, Johnson holds at second.
Look at the Nissan scoreboard in the American League. The Yankees over the Orioles 7-2. That's top of the 4th. Bottom of the 7th, 2-0. Tigers over the Blue Jays right now. All tied up 5 apiece in the bottom of the 7th. The Angels in Cleveland. Top of the 5th, 4-1. Twins over the Royals. Top of the 4th, 2-0. Red Sox over the Brewers. White Sox against the Athletics.
New York Mets. Takes a fastball. Jeffries 2 for 3 in the major leagues. That's just 6-6-7, 6-6-7.
It's always good to get those first hits under your belt, especially at the end of a season like this when the team's in contention. Be a part of it, be able to participate.
Jeffries a switch hitter, and he plays shortstop. Also has good running speed.
As we talked before, Davey Johnson is not staying a long time with Sid Fernandez. 5 innings, and he's going to his bullpen.
This ball hit deep to center field. It's way back. It is extra bases. Coming in to score. Howard Johnson. Jeffries, who has a bad knee, holds up at second. And Jeffries now 3 for 4 in the major league.
Tell you what, he re-hurt that leg a little bit. He saw that ball was going to be over the center fielder's head. And as he was around first base, he really had some ideas about getting a triple. And all of a sudden, that knee got him. Well, what a swing. Just right on the ball. See Van Slyke, everybody in the stands has seen that number a number of times tonight. Everybody knows he's number 18. He's charged that wall a few times.
So Jeffries with a pinch hit double. 3 for 4 in his major league career. And he did have an injured knee when he came to the Mets. Injured that knee just before coming to the major leagues, and he is some sort of prospect.
See Milligan at second base, going to pinch run for Jeffries.
And for the Mets, the batter will be Mookie Wilson. Mookie struck out as a pinch hitter in the 4th inning, stayed in the ball game. Now he chops this one out to second. Lean, the second baseman, over to first, and they pick up the out. That ends the inning, but the Mets get 2 runs on 3 hits, and they leave 1. And the score.
2 is a pinch hitter since coming to the Pirates.
UL, one of only 3 players on the Pirate roster that are over 30 years old.
To say there was a house cleaning in Pittsburgh is a massive understatement.
The youth movement is on, and it's ball 2 to UL, who is now traded in the toothpick for the bubble gum. Terry Harper and Bob Walk are the other 2 Pirates, along with Washington, who are over 30 years old. The rest of the roster under 30. In addition to the house cleaning and the youth movement, a little economy drive going on too. There's a strike, and it's 3-1. There are only 3 players on the Pirates who are making over $200,000 a year. Harper and Walk are also in that group, and the third of that group is Andy Van Slyke. 3-2 now to Washington.
If some of these young players keep playing as they have, their performance is certainly going to earn them a right to change that. So certainly the light at the end of the tunnel has been reached by the Pirate organization.
That is correct. If they can get a little more power. And strike 3 from David Cone, who fell behind 3-0 and comes back to strike out UL Washington 1 away.
David Cone over the top. Good fastball. Just beats him. That's all it is. It's a good pitch to hit. He just beat Washington with that pitch.
So 1 out for Mike Diaz, and tonight in Philadelphia, the Expos have finally scored, and it is now Philadelphia leading 4-2 the game in the bottom of the 8th. The Phillies batting. Diaz with a sacrifice fly that just barely stayed in the ballpark in the first inning, and then he drove another ball deep to left in the third. 0 for 1.
You almost have to imagine that something happened with the wind, the way the ball has jumped out of the ballpark since that time. I think everybody in the park felt his was a home run.
There have been a couple of balls, really 3 or 4 balls that were crushed tonight that on a warmer night, and maybe with a little help, would have gotten out of this park fairly easily, but not tonight. Breaking ball grounded in the hole. Santana over. A long throw in time. 2 away. Santana rarely makes a bad throw. Gets it there just in time on occasion. Darnell Coles fouls the first one off for strike 1. Coles 0 for 2 is flying to right and popped out to Carter in foul territory. On the corner, 0-2. Sid Fernandez went 5 innings and 107 pitches. And Davey Johnson and Mel Stottlemyre taking Sid out of the game, not only because of the huge New York lead and a slider and a good one for strike 3 to Coles, but because of Sid's problems with his knee and shoulder, they don't want to take any chances. 1-2-3 for David Cone here in the 6th inning. It's still 10-2. New York. And he rips one foul outside of third and off the leg of the left field ball girl.
She may need some ice.
Sarah is limping a little.
Wow.
That head to Smart.
She's not rubbing it. She's pulling up her socks a little.
She's a trooper. That head doesn't hurt. Good breaking ball from Barry Jones, and it's 2-2 to Tuffle. Check out the on-base percentage. Just inside, 3-2. Barry Jones, the 3rd Pirate pitcher tonight. Starter Mike Bilecki went only an inning and 2/3. Ripped foul again into the stands. Still 3-2.
Well, the mood in the Met clubhouse today, after coming to the stadium, taking your batting practice, knowing that the Cardinals had already lost, was very high.
Strike 3 called, and Tuffle thought it was ball 4. First strikeout for Jones. Actually, second.
Well, we've talked about this strike zone with Dave Pallone.
First baseman,
With 2
Dave
strikes, you've just got to swing the bat. You got to swing the bat.
Actually, ball 3 appeared to be in exactly the same location, but that time it was strike 3 instead of ball 3. And here's Dave Magadan.
That was just a setup pitch.
The strike to Magadan, who had a big, bases loaded, bases clearing, 3-run double with 2 out in the 4th inning. Magadan is also walked, and he was robbed of a base hit by Jose Lind in the 2nd. He holds up, and the appeal to third base umpire Greg Bonin, who says no, so it's 1-1.
It's one of those swings that no matter which way he calls it, it's right, and the other side doesn't like it.
And way high, 2-1. Well, they're spread around a little bit tonight. Magadan with those 3 on the bases clearing double, and McReynolds with 3 RBIs on a pair of homers. A 2-run shot in the 1st, a solo shot leading off the 5th, and strike 2 to Magadan makes it 2-2. The Mets with 10 runs on 11 hits, and the Pirates with 2 runs on just 3 hits. 1 out, nobody on. And a breaking ball gets Magadan, and Jones has struck out the first 2 hitters here in the 6th. His 2nd and 3rd on the night.
He's throwing a good breaking ball tonight. He's had some good changeups. There's another one. Ball breaking down and away. It almost looked like a backup curveball. The ball really moved funny. It was a little harder than some of the changeups he's thrown.
Batting for right fielder.
Usually you can see a backup slider do things like that. But I think that was probably a changeup. It was certainly in a fine location.
High and away to the left-handed hitter. And here's Lee Mazzilli to pinch hit for Darryl Strawberry. Darryl being lifted from the ball game with the Mets up by 8 runs. Darryl picking up his 100th RBI of the year back in the 1st inning. Ball 1 to Maz.
Maz has 14 hits this year as a pinch hitter, 14 for 51. One of them was a home run. He's driven in 8.
Foul back out of play, and the count 1-1. Overall, Mazzilli hitting .292 with 2 homers and 21 RBIs.
When you turn from the hot weather to the cold weather and you have to start wearing more clothing to stay warm, especially as you're sitting on the bench. You see he's got a sweatshirt and a dickie on right now. You got to make sure you're ready when you get up there.
Mazzilli holds up 2-1.
Of course, being someone who wasn't a practitioner of a lot of clothes underneath his uniform, I didn't have to worry about that.
He didn't even wear long sleeves. Ground ball in the hole. Leaned, knocks it down, but can't make the play. Almost another super play by Jose Lean, but it's a base hit for Lee Mazzilli. Reynolds now, who is 2 for 3 with a pair of home runs. 3 RBIs to give him 88 on the year, and the 2 homers for a total of 28. 2 out with Mazzilli at first base. And a fastball in there, 1-1. You're watching Mets baseball 87 on WWOR TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. Breaking ball stays inside, so it's 2-1. Barry Lyons is out on deck, and should McReynolds keep the inning alive, Lyons would hit for Gary Carter.
May go in for him anyway, Steve. The score as it is, give Gary Carter a few less innings.
3-1 now. Big Mac. And there's Barry.
Tell you the way things have been going for the Mets, nothing's been safe.
Especially against the Pirates last weekend. Ball 4. Barry batting with 2 on and 2 out. And he drives one down the right field line. Coles won't get there, but it's foul. 77 years young this evening. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2 to Lyon. Off-speed pitch way out. And very chases the one down and away for strike 3. Mackey Sasser batting .211 on the year. Pinch hitting for Junior Ortiz, leads it off and takes the ball.
And for the small number of at-bats he's had, even though he's only hitting .211, he's had 3 hits and 7 at-bats as a pinch hitter and driven in a couple.
Fouls one back, 1-1, which would lead one to believe that when he has started a ball game, he might not have gotten any hits. I mean, if you're 3 for 7 and then you have a .211 average.
You see it, 4-2 to Phillies, top of the 9th.
Breaking ball grounded to first. Magadan makes the play, flips to Dave Cone, and there's one away here.
Slipping around.
Yep, and it usually is pretty good, especially on the dirt part. Al Pedrique, the batter, 0 for 2 on the night. And a fastball makes it 1-1. I was going to say that Magadan hasn't played a lot of first base in the big leagues, but first base, of course, was his position in the minor leagues, and Pedrique is hit by the pitch. Ball coming in hard. Fouls this one off for strike 1. Greg is just one of many on the Pirate roster now where even the fellows who follow the Pirate Ball Club regularly have to turn around and say, who's this guy? I mean, they have brought a truckload of guys up. Ripped up the middle, Miller right there to Santana, and a double play. Pirates.
Gideon is 1-5 on the season with a 5.17 earned run average.
And the first pitch to Howard Johnson, a ball low and inside. Hojo tonight 2 for 3 as he appears to be coming out of his slump. He got a break from the official scorer on a ball in the 4th and scored a run, and he singled to right with a bad hop base hit over first baseman Mike Diaz. Stole his 32nd base of the year and scored another run in the 5th inning. And he hits one deep down the right field line, but it's hooking and foul. Well, the final score from Philadelphia. The Expos have lost 4-2 to the Fighting Phillies. So both St. Louis and Montreal have lost their games. Another high, deep drive to right. Will it stay in the park? I think it might. Out number 1 as Darnell Coles makes the catch right at the fence. And there have been some outfielders on both sides tonight who have been backed up to the fence a few times.
This ball tails away. It's actually out over the plate on the outside part of the plate. Howard Johnson pulls it, gets it way up in the air. He hit that ball extremely well for the location of that ball and the movement of it.
That is a ball that you ordinarily do not see the hitter pull deep.
Normally you see a ground ball to the second baseman.
And a different kind of out. That ball was close to being out of here. Santana 2 for 3, has singled twice and scored twice, and grounded to third. Bill Allman out on deck, with David Cone scheduled up next. Everybody's getting a chance to play tonight. Randy Myers loosening up, getting ready to pitch the 8th. Grounded foul off the photographer's cage. 2 balls, 1 strike. Santana, who had a meeting with Davey Johnson, and Davey has said that Raffy is going to play shortstop the rest of the year.
Makes sense to me. He has certainly earned it.
Raffy has had a fine year.
Had some real clutch hits, some big hits for the Mets.
When you consider he's 5 RBIs away from the club record for shortstops, he misses the good slider, however, and strikes out here. First strikeout for Brett Gideon.
And it's a good one. Just off the plate. Tough pitch. Great pitch for the pitcher, though.
Here's Billy Allman, who's hitting .243 to pinch hit for David Cone.
Saw him hitting .243 on the season. As a pinch hitter, he's had 4 hits and 18 at bats.
2 out, nobody on, and a ball down low.
When if ever a scorecard looked like a chicken walked across it, you're looking at him right now.
This is like spring training. Run him in there. Let everybody get a hack tonight. Ball 2. Billy did a little dance. Well, another big crowd tonight. 43,377 total, and just a shade under 42,000 paid. 41,987 paid. So the Mets will probably hit that 3 million mark tomorrow. Got tied up with a fastball. It rode in on him. 2 balls, 1 strike. Down low. 3-1. Foul straight back. The fastball makes it 3-2.
You know, the Mets are ahead 10-2. Billy Allman facing his old mates. You can bet he wants to get a hit.
And did he hold up? No, as the appeal goes to first base umpire Lee Wire, who says he went too far. Allman, of course, disagrees, but he's out of there. And so is Rusty Staub. As we will go to the 8th inning, Tim McCarver will join me with the Mets leading 10-2 after this for Nissan. 10-2. Once again, here's Tim McCarver.
All right, thanks a lot, Steve. 10-2. And it's hard to believe that the Pirates once had the lead in this ball game, 2-0. Scoring 2 in the first inning, but since then the Mets with the barrage, and this one hit deep to right center, but there's Mazzilli in the middle of the warning track to haul it in. 1 away.
Barry Bonds has been turned away a couple of times tonight on well hit balls. McReynolds made a fine play on him in the 3rd inning. Here he hits one almost into the deepest part of the park.
Well, the air in baseball, AIR, is funny in that it holds a lot of home runs and it holds a ton of outs. Ton of outs made in the air because outfielders track those down. The liners and the ground balls by average hitters and the fly balls by the power hitters. Here's Jose Lean, who is 0 for 2. Grounded to shortstop. Allman to Magadan. 3 pitches and 2 outs here in the 8th inning. And a batter, Andy Van Slyke.
And now coming around to the plate, center fielder.
With David Cone coming into the ball game tonight, that will mean that Dwight Gooden obviously will start tomorrow. Bobby Ojeda has replaced him as the starter on Sunday. Gooden will come back on Wednesday night and start in Philadelphia. And then, if necessary, he will pitch the last game of the season against John Tudor of the Cardinals, because Whitey Herzog's doing the same thing with Tudor, starting him tomorrow, Wednesday in St. Louis, Sunday if necessary. If not necessary, Tudor obviously will start the National League Championship Series against the San Francisco Giants.
That's cute.
Right.
Stick your head through the hole and be a stick figure. Sticks have been out for the Mets tonight.
It's 10-2, I'll say. 1-1 to Van Slyke. Andy 1 for 2. He doubled and scored a run in the first inning.
Whitey did something in the 9th inning against Chicago today that I found questionable, in that he put Jack Clark up to pinch hit to try to hit a home run to tie the game up, and Clark, after taking a ball, swung at a pitch and re-injured his ankle rather severely. So if he had any hopes of coming back for the weekend series against the Mets, and possibly even the postseason, he may have dealt those hopes another blow. And I found that questionable on Whitey's part, because after the Cardinals won last night, the Mets lost. I didn't think it was that critical.
Not at the most critical stage.
Right. And it's not like they don't have anybody else they could have used. I mean, the rosters are up to 40 if you want now.
2-2 to Van Slyke, and the slider gets it. So a 1-2-3 inning for Randy Myers. It's 10-2 New York. They will go to within 2.5 of the Cardinals in this ball game. We'll be back for the middle of the 8th after this from Budweiser. Brent Gideon on the mound, and Miller takes a ball, 1-0. Miller originally signed, Jay Horwitz giving us an update. Miller signed with the Yankees out of college, and because his knee was injured, his contract was voided. Grounder toward third, tough play, safe at first. Fine pick by Diaz, quick release by Washington, but Keith Miller has an infield hit.
Well, even with the knee problem that he had very early in his career, he still runs about as well as anybody, hitting .357 for the big club before that infield base hit. So Keith Miller just keeps doing it.
Yeah, and then the Mets drafted him after that knee injury. The reason the Yankees released him. Here's Dave Magadan, one of the key hits in this game, the 3-run double with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 4th inning by Magadan. Grounded to second, double play ball, and it's easily turned by Lean and Pedrique. So very quickly, the Mets are out here in the 8th, and after 8, it's 10-2 New York. Now here's a word from American Express. 4th appearance, he has 3 saves. No save will be given tonight. But Doug, all in all, is doing a fine job. And Steve, between innings, you brought up the point that the Mets, regardless of what happens, whether they catch the Cardinals or not, this ball club's having a great year.
They really are, and I think it's often overlooked in the fact that they did not get off to the kind of start, nor did they play really in the first half as everyone had hoped and expected they would because of the year they had last year. And there's been a lot of disappointment on the part of Mets fans that they have not been, again, running away with the division. When you consider the fact that the problems that the Mets have gone through on and off the field, the fact that they have, for at one time, without 6 of their 10 pitchers, and the kind of record that they've been able to put together, and the kind of season that not only individuals, but the team collectively, perhaps not consistently, but for the most part has had, under the circumstances, I think it's been an outstanding year for
I do too. A chance, and a good chance to go over $3 million, and that by no means is underestimating the job Whitey Herzog and the Cardinals have done with all of their injuries,
right,
and Buck Rogers and the Montreal Expos with all of their injuries.
Well, no one, UL Washington leading off the 9th, and UL struck out his first time up in the 6th. No one thought Montreal would be in the top half of the division, let alone contending here in the end of September.
Everybody thought it would be Philadelphia.
Slapped to short. Bill Allman up with it and guns out Washington, who still runs pretty well. 1 away in the 9th inning for Doug Sisk.
Approaching the plate.
Well, the Mets a new team record with 785 runs this season, and I think that also leads the National League this year. And they're close to a bunch of other records too.
It does indeed lead the National League. They have also surpassed the RBIs. It doesn't necessarily follow that if they lead the league in runs scored that they lead it in RBIs, because all runs scored are not RBIs. But they have surpassed their RBIs set last year of 730. Bunch of stuff. 7 away from stolen bases. Set it in home runs.
Strike on the corner, 1-1 to Diaz.
Best batting average ever.
And when you look at the year that the Mets had last year and the ease with which they won the division, and then you look at the offensive records they are surpassing this year, I think it's an indication. There's a ball hit off the trademark that's going to fall in front of Mark Carrion in left field, and Diaz has his first hit with 1 out here in the 9th. I think it's an indication of how important the pitching was
Right
for the
fielder,
Mets championship
Darnell
last year.
Cole.
Yep, and they're having a better year offensively this year, and they have not won near as many games.
The Mets, without their pitching, are a good ball club. With their pitching, and with their pitching as well as they did last year, they are a great ball club. But this year they've been a good ball club because they haven't had their pitching. That's why they're 22 over instead of 35 or so over.
A strike at the knees to Darnell Coles, who is 0 for 3. One out here in the top of the 9th inning, with New York leading by 8 runs, 10-2.
Also points up the fact that if you don't have good pitching, you can't win. And you can look at them all down through the ages of baseball and the generations that have come along over the last century. And the teams with the best pitching generally won their pennant and World Series.
Strike 2 to Coles. And there's some clubs around today in both leagues that can put some crooked numbers up on the scoreboard and have a hard time contending because they just don't have the pitching. Check swing foul. So Cole stays alive, but still 0-2.
Look at the crosstown rivals of the Mets, the Yankees. Look at the Boston Red Sox. Look at the Boston Red Sox really before Roger Clemens got underway. They were a routine ball club, and with Roger Clemens, they were a dominant club one year. Without Clemens this year, the first part of the season,
They were nowhere.
late signee, there were nothing.
Outside, Cole's held up. Lee Wire says he did not swing. So it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, Rusty earlier was talking about how his scorecard was looking like a chicken ran in the inkwell and then run all over it. Rusty starts in orange appropriately for Rusty, and it makes his changes in blue, sort of a Mets-colored scorecard. So you can see the number of changes. Strike 3, a good sinker from Doug Sisk. And Doug picks up his first strikeout, and there are 2 out here in the 9th.
This ball really goes down. Wow.
Mackey Sasser.
So 2 out. Diaz still at first base, and Mackey Sasser will bat for the second time. He grounded to first, opening the 7th inning. Ground ball up the middle. Miller right there kicks the bag, and the ball game is over. Doug Sisk pitches the 9th as the Mets use 5 pitchers, but Sid Fernandez went the first 5 innings, and El Cid picks up his 12th win against 8 losses. The losing pitcher in the ball game, Mike Bilecki, who started but went an inning and 2/3 for the Pirates, is now 2-3. And the Mets have moved back to within 2.5 games of the St. Louis Cardinals and given themselves another bit of breathing room between themselves and the 3rd place Montreal Expos, who lost tonight. Tim and I'll be right back to wrap it up, and Ralph will be along with Kiner's Corner for you, so stay with us. Steve Zabriskie and Tim McCarver back here at Shea Stadium, where the Mets have won it 10-2, and a big game in many ways. New York doing some things they have not done well lately, and that is big 2-out base hits, scoring a lot of runs. Sid Fernandez pitching well. In addition to that, everything worked out about as well as it could for New York tonight, because the Cardinals lost this afternoon and the Montreal Expos lost tonight. And I think it bears repeating, Timmy, what we talked about a little bit there in the last inning, about the fact that the Mets are in a position to break a lot of offensive records this year and are having really a lot better year than it is perceived to be, I think.
Yeah, and the reason that they are not having the dominant year that they had last year, even though their offensive numbers have been better, is simply because they have not had the pitching and not had the healthy pitching. And that, to reiterate, is not by any means to underestimate the job Whitey Herzog and Buck Rogers have done with their respective clubs.
Well, I think the stage is really being set for the final 3 days possibly of the season, because the Mets seem to be bouncing back, unable to get over that 1.5 game hump what they had a chance to do when the Cardinals came in here and couldn't do.
I think it's worth also repeating exactly the schedules of the 2 ball clubs, the 3 ball clubs really. The Expos finish in Philadelphia tomorrow and Sunday, and then an off day on Monday. They play a doubleheader and then 2 single games against the Cardinals before the Mets move in. The Cardinals finish in Chicago over the weekend and, of course, play the 4 games against the Expos, 3 next week against the Mets. And then the Phillies or the Phillies will host the Mets after tomorrow and Sunday's game against the Pittsburgh Pirates. 8 left for the Mets and 9 left for the Expos and the Cardinals. It should be an interesting week next year. The next week, the whole week should be interesting.
Do you want to hear something that I thought of
Yes,
tonight?
I
that,
do. Yes.
That is
Glad I
far-fetched.
got out of that too.
Easy for you to say.
It is.
Far-fetched but possible, all right? Montreal could win all the rest of their games, sweep the Cardinals in their series, and they have been tough against St. Louis this year. Conceivably, the Mets would have to go in the tank for this to happen. The Mets and the Cardinals could wind up playing each other the last weekend of the season with Montreal in first place.
Oh, sure.
Now, that's a possibility, weird as it may be.
There are a lot of possibilities. The Expos 4 games out now, the Mets 2.5, and the magic number 6 for Montreal, 7 for the Mets. It remains the same.
Well, the star of the game tonight was Kevin McReynolds, among many stars tonight. McReynolds with 2 home runs, a 2-run shot in the first inning that gave the Mets the lead after the Pirates had scored 2 in the first. At that point, it was 3-2, and then McReynolds with a home run in the 5th inning to give him 28 homers and 88 RBIs on the year. Kevin McReynolds, our Budweiser star of the game, and Tim and I will have a final word right after this word from Budweiser. Okay, where the Mets have won it 10-2 over the Pirates, and as I'm sure you know, Metropolitan Life sponsors the MetLife Met of the Month each month, which we announce here on the telecasts. Well, tonight, prior to the game, the presentation for the MetLife Met of the Year was made, and it was made by the Executive Vice President of MetLife, Mr. Bob Chappell.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's a pleasure to represent a great Met team, the people of Metropolitan Life, and to make this award, which consists not only of this beautiful engraved plaque, but also a check for $1,000 to the charity of the winner's choice. He did not make MetLife Met of the Month during the entire season, but he's the big winner, the 1987 MetLife Met of the Year, Darryl Strawberry.
Darryl having a fine year winning that award, and here are the totals on the ball game once again. The Mets with 10 runs on 13 hits, no errors. The Pirates 2 runs, 4 hits, and no errors. The winning pitcher, Sid Fernandez, is 12-8. The losing pitcher, Mike Bilecki, is 2-3. And here's Tim.
All right, Stevie, thanks very much. New York Mets baseball has been brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Manufacturers Hanover, the financial source worldwide. By Nissan, who invites you to test drive a hot new Nissan car or truck and see why Nissan makes you feel like driving. By AT&T, the right choice. By the American Express card, don't leave home without it. By Nita, all we make are great copiers. By Valvoline Motor Oil, where motor oil is not just motor oil. And by the 9X Yellow Pages, it's the one you've always had, it's the one you'll always need. Guests will receive a gift from Davis and Warshaw, designers showrooms for the kitchen and bath of your dreams. The Moen Collection and dependable service at Davis and Warshaw. And an Emerson 19-inch diagonal color television with auto color control system. Fans, be with us again on Sunday when the Mets take on the Pittsburgh Pirates at 1:30 p.m. And you know how very, very important all of these games are, so you want to be with us right here on WWOR-TV. Now, stay tuned for Kiner's Corner. Ralph's special guest this evening, the star of the game, Kevin McReynolds.
Today and tomorrow.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Kiner's Corner. And a big night for the Mets as they kept in the race, remaining 7 games back in that magic number. And the Mets on the great hitting of Kevin McReynolds coming up with a big win. As for change now, here of late, they haven't been doing it. They scored some runs with 2 men out. We're going to be back to talk with Kevin in just a moment, right after this message from Miller Lite Beer. Having a big night tonight. Kevin, before the ball game, and it was a must-win situation for the New York Mets. What was the attitude in the clubhouse?
Well, we just want to go out and put forth a good effort. We lost a game yesterday that we had a good chance to win, and it's tough to lose games like that this late in the season, especially when you're in a pennant race and you're behind. So we just wanted to go out and we put forth a good effort and scored some runs, made it pretty easy for the pitchers.
Yeah, but you got behind by 2 runs in the first inning, and you were the one that turned it around.
Well, it's kind of disheartening to get behind to Pittsburgh early, but we came back, and that was a big inning for us, first inning, to regain the lead, and the pitchers held the lead from there on, and we got them some comfortable runs.
What is the difference, or is there a difference, in the attitude between the San Diego Padres when they played and won their division and the New York Mets now here this year?
Well, it was a little different situation. I think we ended up winning by 12 or 13 games, and it never was really a race. We were ahead by 6 or 7 games at the All-Star break, and no one ever pushed us. This year, we've been in the situation all season long, the second half. Once we made up the big deficit, we've been right around a game and a half, 2.5 games for most of the season. We can't seem to get over the hump. It looks like it's going to come down to these last few games, and maybe we can put forth a good enough effort to get on top.
Well, it's going to take a big effort. The Mets on July 23rd were 10.5 games back of the Cardinals. Now they're 2.5 back, and they have to really win. The Mets got behind 2-0. Let's take a look at Kevin McReynolds as he comes up in the first inning. Dave Magadan's on base. Magadan had walked.
That was a 2-2 pitch, I think it was, and it was a changeup. The third time I'd seen the changeup and that at bat. And usually, unless the pitcher's got really accurate control, the hitter's going to win out in that situation. And I was fortunate to hit the ball out.
Pitcher was Mike Bilecki, and change of pace, your 27th home run of the year. Defensively, you do a job for the New York Mets, and of course, you've been doing this all year long.
This is Barry Bonds hit this. He'd fouled a lot of balls off down the line his first at bat, and I was playing over towards the line a little more. Normally that should be a routine catch, but it's a little tougher than what it should have been.
And here is Barry Jones pitching in his first pitch. You didn't wait long.
First 2 times up, I'd taken until I'd got a strike, and this was the second pitch for Barry, and it was the first strike I'd seen. Maybe it surprised me with that situation. It was right down the middle of the plate, though, a fastball.
Kevin, of late, it hasn't been easy for you, although you've been getting a base hit in just about every ball game, but the big ones haven't been coming. There was some speculation about you being tired. Are you?
I don't think I'm really that tired. I'm definitely not as fresh as I was early in the season, which, of course, I'm sure everybody at this stage isn't. But, the one thing I'm really dissatisfied with this year about my season is the way I've hit with runners in scoring position. And all I can do now is try to get some big hits for us down the stretch and try to make improvements for next year.
Well, you've already done that here tonight. What have you dropped in weight in your bat?
I dropped an ounce in my bat this late in the season. Maybe I am getting a little arm weary, but hopefully that'll make up the difference.
Well, tonight should help a lot.
Tonight was a big confidence booster, and I think that's why David gave me an extra at bat the time I walked. Since I was hitting the ball pretty well tonight, let me just see the ball and go from there.
Kevin McReynolds, a big night tonight and a big win for the New York Mets. And Kevin, thank you for coming on.
Okay, Ralph, my pleasure.
And we'll be back to take a look at the highlights of the ball game in just a moment, right after this message from Mitsubishi Motors. 2, and the magic number remains at 7 for the Mets, with Montreal losing. Their magic number drops to 6. The Mets technically 2.5 games back of the St. Louis Cardinals as the Cardinals lost to the Cubs. It wasn't easy for the Mets as they got behind early. Pirates batting in the top of the first inning. Bobby Bonilla hits this slow grounder to the right side of the infield. Magadan fields it, but Sid Fernandez is a spectator, and he isn't over there in time to cover. On the play, Jose comes in to score with the first run of the ball game, and it's 1-0 as Lean makes that run count. Now here another run scoring on a sacrifice fly to center field. Dykstra makes the catch. Van Slyke tags up and scores easily from third base. Van Slyke had doubled the Pirates, leading 2-0. Darryl Strawberry gets the Mets on the board with a long sacrifice fly to left center. Dykstra, who had bunted for a base hit, stolen second and gone to third on a pass ball, scores from third. And the Mets get one back, and they're trailing by a score of 2-1. 100 RBIs for Darryl Strawberry. And the big hit in the ball game, Kevin McReynolds crushes this pitch by Mike Bilecki out into the left field stands, and it's a 2-run home run, giving the Mets a 3-2 lead. 27th home run and 5th against the Bucks. Right here, Dykstra comes through with a 2-out double in the left center field. Santana, who had singled, comes around to score. and he scored from second base. This makes it a 4-2 ball game. And then the next batter, Tim Tuffle, rips a single in the left field, scoring Dykstra from second base. The Mets lead 5-2 at this point, and that was all for the Pirates starter Mike Bilecki. Now the Mets once again able to come through with a 2-out base hit after an intentional walk to Tim Tuffle. Magadan steps up, clears the bases with a double over the head of the center fielder off Bob Patterson, and that breaks the ball game open, making it 8-2 in favor of the New York Mets. Bottom of the fifth inning, Kevin McReynolds greets newcomer Barry Jones by hitting his first pitch over the wall in left center. This was McReynolds' second home run of the game and made the score 9-2. His 28th home run of the year, and he now has 88 runs batted in. And then the final out of the ball game.